What's up guys, and welcome to today's topic video. Now I wasn't actually going to do a video for this topic straight away, but me and my friends had a massive debate on Facebook last night about conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and if you haven't guessed it already, we are going to be talking Five Nights at Freddy's. Now for those of you who don't know, a fourth game has been announced. It's going to be the final chapter, and it is due to come out officially on Halloween of this year, which I don't know how I felt about it at first, but when I thought about how the third game ended, it would make sense that there would be another game, even though the third game felt very final in how it was, because it said the end on it. You know, that was the first Five Nights at Freddy's game that actually said the end, and having taken into consideration that you'd set the spirits of the children free, it would make sense that that was the last game. But also taking into consideration that a lot of the story has still been unanswered for, it would also make sense that there would be a fourth game to kind of lay all of the speculations and conspiracies and theories to rest. Now we're not going to be talking too much about the fourth game in this video. I'll probably mention it a few times, but the main focus of this video will be the theory that Phone Guy is actually the guy behind the murders. Now, my friend Chris, who is one of the channel members, linked me and a few other friends, our friend Andrew, who you met on a few occasions on the channel, to a video by game theorists last night. I say last night, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just finished my night shift at work a few hours before that, and I was doing some editing, and I was getting ready to go to bed, and yeah, we got this video through, so we watched it, and this was after we found out that Five Nights at Freddy's 4 had been announced. So we watched the video, and it was based around the first two games, so Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And it was based around the fact that Phone Guy is the one behind it. Now I hadn't taken this into consideration before, so me, Chris and Andrew had this big debate about the fact that that video was out of date now, since there's been a third game, and there are a few things that still are unanswered for in that video. Now a lot of people know to be true that the murders took place in the previous establishment, and it was the murderer had adopted a yellow animatronic suit. That's what Phone Guy says on over the phone in, I think, the first and second game. It might just be the first, but I know it's one of the two, if not both, that you say a yellow suit was taken and the children were murdered. A lot of people took that to mean that it was Golden Freddy. Now, I want to put a few things to rest here about what I think happened with regards to the yellow suit. First of all, note, he said yellow suit, not golden suit. If Golden Freddy was such a big character, he would have said golden suit. And of course, Springtrap's yellow, which is what the suit is, which is the suit that the murderer was in, is very different to the Golden Freddy colour and suit that we see throughout the first two games. So with that taken into consideration, when people say that the murderer had taken a yellow suit, it was not in fact Golden Freddy's, but it was the golden or yellow Bonnie suit that we don't actually see throughout the game. And we don't see it until the third game, which is of course Springtrap. Now, a lot of people think that the third game is set in one of the older abandoned restaurants. It's not at all, and I think this, I'd probably like 100% bet money on this, because the guy over the phone in the third game, who is not the same Phone Guy, says that they've made it feel authentic. So why make such a big deal about making it feel authentic if the place was like that in the first place? You know, it's a fact that they go back to older locations to get the suits, and to get, they find a Springtrap suit and like plushies and posters and audio tapes all in other locations, and it must be the location of the restaurant before first game that they find Springtrap, but that's not confirmed. As far as we know, there's 2 more restaurants that we haven't played in for the Five Nights at Freddy's series. There's one, like a diner that is a very small establishment called Fredbear's Diner. Then there was the original Five Nights at Freddy's, the original Fazbear Entertainment Restaurant, which we haven't played in, but we know housed the original animatronics. Then there was the restaurant in the second game, which there was a big uproar about because it was actually a sequel prequel, or a prequel sequel, however you want to put it. It was the second game, but it actually took place before the first game, and it was confusing for a lot of people because they had the old animatronics from the first game in the storerooms, and they were in the spare parts room. So when we saw that there was new animatronics, it was kind of put across that it happened after the first game, but that's not the case at all. No, it wasn't the case at all. They had made new animatronics. The old animatronics that we see in the first game were in use in the first Fazbear Entertainment Restaurant that we haven't played in. Then they had the new ones which we saw in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and Five Nights at Freddy's, the first game, was a smaller establishment, which if you read the newspaper articles like around the game maps and things like that, you see that they downgraded again to a smaller one, and they're bringing the old animatronics back. So that's how that timeline works. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is set about 30 years in the future from the first game. Like I said, a lot of people think that it's set before the second game, but it's really not. It's like the Thor maze at Thorpe Park. If you've been there and you know what I'm on about, it's like that. It's just like a novelty amusement kind of attraction, like a horror maze or whatever, and that's what it's there for. There is still a lot that has been unanswered, but Phone Guy is main suspect for me right now, and I'll give you some reasons. He's been with the chain long enough that he knows kind of like all of the animatronics. In one of the phone calls in the second game, he mentions Foxy being his favourite, and he mentions the puppet freaking him out. In the first game, on the 4th night, Phone Guy dies. Now if we go back to the third game, we see Phone Guy being stuffed into a Springtrap suit. Now, personally, I think that's what we hear happen over the phone in the first game, because the little mini games after each night in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, you get the map, and you get the little 8-bit map, and you kind of follow the purple guy around. I think that's what happened over the phone in the first game, because that map in the third game is actually the layout of the first game's environment. And I think it's showing us what we saw happen over the phone. And it makes sense that they would then call the animatronic Springtrap instead of Golden Bonnie or Yellow Bonnie or whatever, because the Springtraps have already been set loose. There is someone inside that suit. Of course, with Phone Guy being in the second game, it makes sense. And there's also a mini game in the second game where, like the little death mini games, where you see the purple guy smiling at Foxy as he's performing, and before Foxy goes out and greets the kids who just happen to be dead. That would add up to Phone Guy's comment of Foxy being his favourite. He's happy watching him perform. Another thing that one of the other death mini games, you remember this? There's a really small, like, rectangular shaped mini game where you have to feed the crying children cake, and you're only playing as Freddy. So I think that's probably set at the very first diner. It's a very small establishment, and it's probably set at Fredbear's instead of Fazbear's. So in that video, it's quite easy to miss, despite the fact it's a very big thing. You're so focused on trying to get the cake to the kids, but there is actually a crying child above the rectangular shaped box, and you see a purple guy come up in a car and take the crying child along with him after he's killed him. Now, crying child bears a very striking resemblance to the marionette puppet, because if you remember the children that you play as in any of the games that they have the mini games in, they have the crying streaks down their face. Marionette has like purpley blue crying streaks down his face, you know, and I think that's where the original murder took place, and I think that's where the original soul went, was into the marionette doll. And a lot of people think, well, hang on a minute, why wasn't it in the first game then? Well, it was, but not as obvious as we probably would have thought it would be. Posters show up around the camera maps, and it's of a crying child that is in colour this time, and is in the same colours as the marionette. So it kind of would make sense that the first murder took place, and it was the marionette that was taken first. Now we also see the marionette stuffing the souls of the other children into the other five suits. Bonnie, Foxy, Chica, Freddy, and Golden Freddy. So yeah, other 5 suits. And that's another thing, because everyone's like, there's 6 kids taken, why is there only 5 like children in the mini games? But when the marionette has finished stuffing the souls of the children into them different suits, you get the Golden Freddy come and pop out of your face. If you look ever so closely, it is really tough to see, but there is another child in the middle of that map, and with the Golden Freddy coming out from the middle, it makes sense that in fact the Golden Freddy suit was possessed by a child and not what the murderer used to murder them. There is so much to say, you know, about this game series. It's a fantastic game series. Purple Guy, obviously we know Purple Guy's the murderer now, and we know that there's going to be a 4th game, and we know it's going to have to be set before any of the other games that we've seen, because in the previous game, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, we set the souls of the children free. So it's probably going to be another prequel, if I'm being honest. I'm kind of hoping it's going to be set around when the children were first taken. I don't know whether it'll be... I don't know whether they could warrant having it set in the original Fredbear's Diner, because there was only one animatronic working there. That being said, there was only one animatronic in the 3rd game, despite the fact we had phantoms of the other ones. But it was only because the other previous games have happened before that we could have the phantoms, and the phantoms were a big part of the scares. Despite the fact they didn't kill us, they were a big part of the scares. And a lot of people have said negative comments about Five Nights at Freddy's 3 because they say it's not as scary. Now, I agree that it's not as scary. I think because Springtrap was very animated and you could see him move, because at the end of the day, he's not an animatronic, he's got a person stuffed inside him. And because of that reason, it was very predictable to see when he was going to scare you. The phantom jump scares were more where the horror came in, and because the phantom animatronics looked absolutely terrifying, that worked. You know, Springtrap looked terrifying, but I think where there was so much emphasis on the fact he was a human and you could see him move, it took away from his scares a little bit, which is fine, because For me, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was more about strategy and how to finish the game. It wasn't about luck, and it was about setting some of the story points straight. Now, as much as we know more than we did, and as much as we know a lot more than we did, there is still a lot of unanswered questions, and we don't officially know who the murderer is. But I will bet money on the fact that it's Phone Guy. And everyone's like, well, why are the animatronics attacking you in the first game and the second game? Well, they hear Phone Guy's voice over the phone. It's completely plausible that they think he's in the room. And if you listen to what he says about he's just finishing up his last week there now, it's possible that they think you are in fact Phone Guy, because he is a night security guard. And there is in fact another mini game where a purple guy goes after. It's a very rare one. I haven't seen it, but I've seen it online. I haven't actually played it myself. But there is another mini game in the second game where you play as purple guy and put the animatronics, like put children in the animatronics, and he has a yellow badge here, which would be a security guard badge, and he has what looks like a phone in his hand, like a purple phone. And that's a very rare minigame. If you have seen it, then you'll have to confirm that that is right, but that is what I took out from what I've seen of that little minigame online. So there is a lot to be answered for still. Like I say, we still don't officially know who the murderer is, but I am putting my money on Phone Guy. It makes sense, you know, with all the minigame information and with all the Phone Guy information that we've had. It makes perfect sense, and you know, it's basically confirmed that the person who's behind the murders was a member of staff, and I don't know, it makes sense. It makes sense that it would be Phone Guy. With all the evidence we have, it would make sense. And with all the evidence we have about where the fourth game could be set, again, it's probably going to be a prequel. Whether it'll be set in the first Fredbear's diner or the Fazbear restaurant, I don't know. I can't imagine them being able to do Fredbear's and make a full game out of it, because the five murders that took place, that created Freddy, Golden Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, didn't take place until the Fazbear's restaurant. There was only one murder at Fredbear's, and that was what I think is the marionette. But yeah, the other 5 murders didn't actually take place until the Fazbear's restaurant. And with the information that we have on Fredbear's, I think it would be a little bit counterproductive to go and then put them all in there when we could find out what actually happened and who was behind the 5 murders at the first Fazbear's restaurant instead of Fredbear's. So that's what I think is going to be happening in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. It is officially the last game, so we have got a little while to wait, and then we will be saying goodbye to Five Nights at Freddy's. Even though I feel like I've already done that with the 3rd game, there was always that little bit of kind of hope and a little bit of maybe, I don't know, that there may be another game, and of course there is, which is fantastic. I am hoping that it's going to be fantastic. I'm hoping it's going to have more scary elements than the 3rd one did, but I'm hoping that we find out a lot of information, and I'm hoping that a lot of things get put to rest, but I am hoping that Scott leaves some kind of mystery element to the end of this game that get people asking questions still. I don't want to know every single detail, because the fantastic thing about this game is the mystery. No one knows what's true and what's not. And it would be great if we could answer some of the questions that we want to know answers to, but it would be great also if we could have that element of mystery live with us for the rest of our lives, and we will never really know what happened. I would like to have some kind of confirmation on who, but I don't want to know everything. I would love there to be some kind of mystery element behind the end of the game that we're never going to be able to figure out, because at the end of the day, it's videos like this, and it's videos like what Game Theorist did, and it's speculation videos and theory videos and, you know, plot videos that have made this series the phenomenon that it is, because no one really knows what's going on and everyone's got a different idea. So, you know, for them, if they were able to keep some kind of element of mystery and some kind of element of not knowing what actually happened, then that would be fantastic. As much as I would love to know everything, I think it would ruin it. I want to know a few things, but I think to keep the element of mystery would be a fantastic ending to this game. So yeah, let me know what you think about my phone guy theory in the comments below. Let me know if you have any other interesting theories that you would like me to hear, and I will maybe do another video a few months down the line when we're a bit like more informed about the 4th game. And if any other interesting theories come up, I may do like a little video on them too. But yeah, that is my theory. That is my theory, and I'm gonna stick with it. I guess we will find out in October of this year, Halloween exactly, what happens. I know for a fact that this year I will not be going out getting drunk for Halloween. I will be sat in playing Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And I will probably be in with all my friends trying to get through this game that is going to be, it's going to be life changing. It's going to be the series ender of all series enders, and I am so excited for it. And it kind of makes up for the sadness that there is around the gaming industry for horror at the moment, that Silent Hills got cancelled. I'm not going to go into that again because I've already done a whole video on that, but it does make up for it, and I am once again looking forward to the October term horror games. I'm really excited to see how this is going to end. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like I said, if you have any interesting theories, do let me know. I will have a read through them and let you know what I think of them, and let you know if I think they fit into my theory at all. Keep an eye out for the rest of the videos that are coming out this week. This is probably going to be the last one for today. And there's going to be a few more topic videos coming up this week. Like I said previously, there is a lot happening in gaming this week. A lot has come to light, so keep an eye out for the rest of the topic videos that are going to be out 6 o'clock, whatever day they're on. And until the next time you hear from me, guys, as always, stay classy, gamers.